Salaried exempt employees have to punch a time card now. Okay, it sure would be a shame if someone notified the labor board about your illegal PTO practices though, posted by Bolshevik's Vapor Rub. A few years ago, I was employed by a relatively small but publicly traded company. I virtually guarantee you wouldn't recognize the name if you weren't in their specific little corner of the industry. Well, this place went public and decided to use some of the money to purchase an even smaller company, and suddenly we were in the DoD contracting business. As you may or may not know, the US Department of Defense places restrictions on the private sector contractors about how much profit they're allowed to make, among other cost control mechanisms. One such mechanism is that anyone working on DoD contracts has to charge their time to specific project codes so that they can compare your actual cost to the cost that you estimated when you were awarded the contract. Well, our genius company decided that instead of only having the personnel working on these projects, which was no more than like 50 people out of over 1,000, that they would make every single salary person sign a time card every week. For over 95% of us, we charged 100% of our labor to the commercial side of the business, which was one project code, non-defense overhead or something like that. Most people just charged 8 hours per day regardless of how many hours they actually worked, because no one tracks their time down to the minute. Shortly after this happened, new state legislation went into effect requiring that all employers provide 1 hour of sick leave per 40 hours worked. Nobody paid much attention to it, but I did, because I was in a fairly specialized engineering role with only 2 of us at the whole company, and I trained the other guy, who also happened to live overseas to support another site. This is important later. I started charging my actual hours. I noticed that despite how many hours I charged, the amount of PTO I was accruing stayed the same. This happened 3 or 4 paychecks in a row, and then I approached HR. They looked at me like I had 2 heads when I informed them that they were not adjusting my PTO accruals based on hours worked. But your salary, you're paid for 40 hours regardless of how many hours you work, they told me. I explained how that didn't really apply to the situation due to the new legislation. They again looked at me like I was completely crazy. They said they'd get back to me with an answer in a week or 2. Fast forward 2 months. I'm still diligently filling out my time cards like a good little drone, and I've spoken with several of my work buddies who start doing the same. The thing about this particular group of folks was that we all traveled internationally, oftentimes last minute on a regular basis for work. Well, wouldn't you know it, it turns out that travel time, per our state labor laws, is considered working time. 16 hours worth of flights to Germany, all working time. And I believe the language is place of rest to place of rest. And while you're there, you're not exactly relaxing. It's long days, handling customer concerns multiple days in a row. A perfect storm of circumstances happened that fall, where we were all traveling around the same time, and we all booked 120+ hour weeks of work. We all eagerly awaited our pay stubs to see all that extra PTO accrued, and nope. We approached HR again. They told us that they would escalate the issue to their attorney, and we went back to work. Well, not surprisingly, things started going downhill for all of us. We start ranting about things a bit, and we all end up quietly looking for jobs. Within a 5-week period, all of us put in our notices, and I lost my patience. I wrote an email to HR detailing our contracts with them and informed them that I would be escalating to the labor board without a full accounting of all back-owed PTO that would need to be paid. I got a panicked phone call within about 5 minutes. HR drone says, "Why are you even recording your hours that way? Your salary." I say, "Well, because we have to fill out time cards." "Well, why don't you just put 8 hours per day like everyone else?" "I'm sorry, but it sounds like you are asking me to falsify my time card. When I sign it, the time card specifically asks me whether I've reported my time accurately under threat of prosecution." No, I'm just... Why haven't you brought up this issue previously?" "I have. Twice. With you." I detailed those encounters in the email I just sent. I'm sure the company's attorney has informed you of your requirements by now. They haven't gotten back to me." Me, grin now wide across my face, say, "Well, funny enough, I went ahead and emailed our general counsel. It turns out that my email was the first they've heard the concern. I've put in my notice. I expect to be paid in full for all back-owed PTO, or I'll be filing a report with L&I, who take accusations of wage theft fairly seriously. I believe they give you a week to remit payment or pay up to triple what's owed." Please contact me via email only when you have decided on a path forward. Click. It turns out that not only did I get paid the full PTO I thought I was owed, there was a bit extra on there as well. And one of my buddies went ahead and reported the company to the labor board anyway, which apparently caused quite the stir. Last I heard, the HR department, with the exception of a couple recruiters, got completely turned over all the way up to the VP. TLDR, make a salary employee fill out a time card? That's gonna cost ya. I love the MC that's done by the book. They tried to cut corners and shaft people and they got paid for it. No, actually, the workers got paid, they paid for it. What do you think? Way to go, OP. Working harder, not smarter, posted by Professional Fee 957. My wife, Emma, is a user interface and product designer. When she started in the field, Emma worked for a design agency of 5 people that pumped out multiple websites a week. She then moved to a holdings company where she was now the sole designer. The company owned 3 or 4 companies, all of them online retail and app-based. She oversaw the design portfolios for all 4 companies with the cohort of 20 coders. The thing is, she works really fast, as in she does a week's worth of work for a normal Slacker designer in a little over a day. No stress or effort, she seems to get charged from it. The unfairness ticks her off. Anyway, we changed countries and Emma got a job in a company as a product designer. The company has a single platform with lots of little issues, but overall, the product is functional. She started and the PMs, or project managers, would go through the available projects on the table for the week and divvy them up between her, the current designer, he gets paid slightly more than her, and then she would finish them within 2 days and move through more and more tickets. After 3 months, she has a glowing review and is confirmed as permanent, but has now run out of tickets for her to chew through. She continues her work at her usual speed, finishing everything in no time and twiddling her thumbs from Wednesday to Friday. During Corona home office, YuliiaKa 24 hours was her screensaver when she went out for walks. After another year, the company does a performance audit due to COVID work at home and starts monitoring submissions of all the tech staff. Emma gets pulled up for only submitting projects on Monday and Tuesday. They have a massive meeting about her shirking attitude and tell her that they pay for her time and that she must use it to the benefit of the company, despite her producing better quality projects faster than the other designer. Emma explains the situation and they say that if she's not willing to work, they must reduce her pay by 60%. Other designer got promoted to senior despite having fewer years of experience and a crappy work ethic. Emma thinks, screw this, so she reduced her hours to 4 days a week at a 20% reduction. Now in this country, the company has to accept a request to reduce hours, but can refuse a request to increase them. She no longer does outstanding tickets and only does the same amount of work as the other designer and works 4 to 5 hours a day, and they're back to praising her consistency. Way to go, OP's wife. I mean, hey, you're doing the work at a great pace and they want you to keep busy with busy work and you just switched it around and did it right. Way to go. Consistency is key, posted by Junior Ad 5579. A few years back, I worked for a small title company attached to one of the United States' largest mortgage companies. My specific role was title compliance, so I would have to review the files, request specific documentation, acquire signatures, and basically do everything that needed to be done so the house can change hands with 0 issues. This was during the refinance boom, so at times I was working 12 to 16 hours a day when my boss has a meeting one day and tells me how unproductive I am. I'm taken aback because I'm eating at my desk and working through lunch. I show him that I log all of my productivity and he says he'll get back to me. The next meeting we have is about a week later and he shares his screen and searches new files only. So if you have to go into the same file twice or it covers someone else, it only counts as 1 task complete and for the original person. I agree that from this moment on, I will work harder and be near the top in terms of production. Malicious Compliance. I realized that search he used is available to everyone, so I started searching specifically the people that shared my job title. New files only. At the end of the day, the highest count was 8 files. I was up to about 30 files when it came to files total because each file had anywhere from 1 to 10 tasks that had to be done. So I matched it in about an hour and logged off. It was at this time that I realized you could open a file, investigate it, and close out, and it didn't log you as performing a task. So I started earlier than everyone else, knocked out 8 files before 8 a.m., and would relax the rest of the day. Dog needs a walk, shopping needs to be done, laundry, you name it, it was done because I had already matched or beat top production for the day. I would open up a Word document and lay something heavy enough down so that it hit the 0 button so that my computer wouldn't go to sleep. This continued for 8 months, and every monthly review I received was glowing after that, how I'm the model employee and take direction extremely well. Layoffs started to happen. I saw the writing on the wall, so I started using my extra time looking for a job. 2 rounds of layoffs complete, and I survived both cuts. When they laid me off, it was only 3 weeks before I started my new one, since I was already interviewing for a position. Oh man, tracking work and reporting it in a not good way versus the actual work you do and then abusing the system, this is textbook malicious compliance right here. Nice job, OP, but what do you think in the comments? The Microwave Decree, posted by Zephayu. Some time ago, breakroom cleanliness went downhill. Started off small. Cutlery was left in the sink instead of washed. Coffee rings remained on the tables. It took a turn to tragedy when microwave manners stopped. Suddenly, lasagna remains and gravy stains happened every day. Fortunately, Helen was on the case. Strategically placed posters and a polite email encouraged everyone to clean up after themselves. Yet the microwave madness continued. There was a second wave of reminders, a little more passive-aggressive. Then the chili incident. The whole microwave interior, door to floor, all around, was left coated in a thin layer of exploded chili. Understandably, Helen was not happy. The newest directive was swift and punitive. We were to leave the microwave spotless. Anyone caught desecrating it would face disciplinary action. Nothing more was specified, just that vague threat. The manager, equally tired of the melodrama and mess, and perhaps a little frightened of Helen, signed off on it. Helen was delighted and spent a few hours happily telling everyone that this would surely fix the problem and restore peace to the broken break room. It seemed a little too draconian for my taste. The next day, I brought in stir-fry leftovers, used the microwave, and, shame, a bit of sauce-coated broccoli slipped away. I took out the spinning plate and gave it the best possible treatment, a hot, bubbly bath in the sink. I gently scrubbed it down with a sponge and hummed some bossa nova to really tie together the experience. The inside of the microwave door also had some debris stuck on. I wiped that away, and then the rest for good measure. The top 2 in case of dust. I used toothpicks to clear vents and scrape gunk from the buttons. After half an hour, the appliance looked new. Well, those 30 minutes were also during the lunch period, which meant a good number of coworkers stopped in to use the microwave. Had to stop a few times and let someone use it, which restarted the cleaning. Everyone understood that since microwave cleanliness was now the most important thing in the office, this was a necessary task to be completed immediately. Everyone except the manager. He wasn't too happy that I took so long doing something that was far outside my job description instead of actual work. The decree was dropped. A new system was established with rotated cleaning duties. With everyone equally responsible for managing mess, cleanliness, and peace were restored. You gotta feel for Helen here a little bit too. Hopefully she went about it nicely, but you gotta have a clean microwave, right? You got to. So do you agree with the old rule that you're not supposed to microwave fish in the workplace? I'm curious to see what you think. Well, if you're sure that's how to do it, posted by Trying My Best 1983. I have a favorite memory from when I was about 6 years old, when I had the pleasure of witnessing the rare double whammy of a classic mansplain followed by malicious compliance, so simple and well executed that it was practically a work of art. I was sitting down to dinner with my brother and our mom and dad when I asked my brother to pass the salad dressing. He attempted to comply, but the handoff was intercepted by our father, who loudly proclaimed to the rest of us, "Wait, you always pour out too much salad dressing and then you waste it. Let me show you how it's done." While he informed me of my inadequate salad dressing application techniques, he also proceeded to unscrew the cap of the dressing, presumably in preparation of his impromptu lesson on proper salad dressing etiquette. However, he was so focused on making sure that I knew I was in the wrong that he failed to notice the lid was of the snap open and close variety utilized by most squeeze bottles. So he wasn't just opening the bottle to get ready to pour, he was removing the lid and the squeeze bottle insert. So when he upended the bottle to show me how to do it, almost the entire contents of the nearly full container poured out over his meal in one huge and hilarious blob. Now, you may be wondering how the other members of the family reacted to such a hugely hilarious blunder. Well, dear reader, this is where the malicious compliance comes in. While the rest of us stared in shock and horror at the river of Italian dressing running down my father's salad off of his plate to form a pool on the linen tablecloth, my brother took action in the most hilarious way possible. He grabbed a second bottle of salad dressing from the table and began removing the lid and squeezing the insert together at the same time. Then he turned to our father with a beatific smile on his face and said, "I think I get it, Dad. Is this how you showed us how to do it?" At which point he upended and spilled the second full bottle of salad dressing in as many minutes, and we all watched as the dressing ran off of his plate to join together with the remains of our fathers. Oh man, I know that's a waste of salad dressing, but as an avid dad joke teller myself, in moments like this, they're cute, they're funny, they're awesome. I love the dadness involved here. What do you think? Way to go, OP and brother. Oh, of course, Dad too. Boss forces OP to work during vacation, and he has the perfect malicious compliance. Click on that video on your screen here to watch it now and subscribe for more.